Sabrina, we have also an LLC. Record-keeping LLCs are required to submit annual reports but have less requirements in general, not required to hold annual shareholder meetings or be audited, etc. Management LLC's operation is flexible like a partnership. Generally, an operating agreement is not required, but it is recommended. LLC versus Corp. Advantages: fewer ownership restrictions, limited owner liability, less record keeping, better profit, sharing tax flexibility, only in the USA, not in Spain. Disadvantages: owners subject to self-employment taxes, limited life if a member leaves, higher taxes and fees in some states, fewer benefits like group medical insurance. We have some of Spain's legal entities. Overview of option for new businesses. Main options for a new business venture: self-employed, autónomo, limited liability entrepreneur, ERL, empresario de responsabilidad limitada, SALES, L, sociedad de responsabilidad limitada, LLC of successive formation, sociedad limitada de formación sucesiva, new company LLC, SLN, sociedad limitada nueva empresa, advantages initial years, corporation SA, sociedad anónima, LLC of successive formation, no minimum capital but has other limitations instead to protect customers. It turns into an LLC once you invest capital in the company, which can be done slowly as your company makes money. 20% of your benefits until you reach 3-0 row. LLC of successive formation obligations. The obligatory allocation to legal reserve of an amount at least equal to 20% of the annual profits, with no limit until 3-0. Once such legal or statutory requirements have been fulfilled, dividends may only be distributed to the partners if the net asset value is, as a consequence of such distribution, not below 60% of the minimum legal capital. The annual amount of the remuneration paid to shareholders, partners, and directors in these fiscal years may not exceed 20% of the net assets of the corresponding fiscal year, notwithstanding other remunerations that they could receive as employees of the company or through the rendering of professional services agreed by the company with said shareholders, partners, and directors. 17 Personal status requirements: citizenship, residency, nationality. You do not need to be a Spanish or EU citizen or resident to establish a corporation in Spain, but you will have to obtain a Spanish identification number, either a NIF or a NIE. If you are not a Spanish or EU citizen, you must have a valid work visa in Spain to be able to work in that company or be self-employed. Tax identification number, NIF, and foreigner identity number, NIE. The currently applicable Spanish legislation requires that any individual or legal entity with economic or professional interests in Spain, or involved in a relevant way for tax purposes, must hold a tax identification number in the case of legal entities, or a foreigner identity number for individuals.